Complex fractions are made up of fractional expressions that are being divided. So basically you have a fraction divided by a fraction that contains fractions within those numerators and denominators. So I'm going to use separate paper to complete these problems. So example 43. Basically there's two ways you can solve or simplify these expressions. The first way is you can find a common denominator for the numerator and then add the two fractions here, and then find the common denominator for the denominator and then add these two terms together. After that, then you would just continue with the division part. The quickest way to do this is to focus on these fractions. And so here we have an x and here we have an x squared. So if we didn't have these fractions, it would be a lot easier to work with. So we want to get rid of those fractions. To get rid of these fractions, if I look at x and x squared, we want to multiply everything by the term with the highest exponent. And the reason for that is if I multiply 2 times x squared divided by x squared, the x squared and the x squared will cancel, and I will no longer have a fraction here. But in order to do this, I would have to multiply every single term by x squared. And so here I would end up with 4 times x squared. And this term here, I would have x squared divided by x. So one of these x's will cancel with one of these. So that's going to leave me with an x. And then 3 times x squared is 3x squared. And then the x squared cancels, leaving me with a plus 2. You want to make sure that you can factor out a common terms out of this numerator and denominator. And so we can't, so this is already simplified. Okay, so let's look at example 45. And first we'll do 45, then we'll come back to 44. So example 45, my denominator is x minus 3 and x minus 3. So I'm going to multiply everything by x minus 3 so that I can get rid of these fractions. So for the first term, I get 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. X minus 3 and x minus 3 here will cancel, leaving me with a plus 9. In the denominator, I get 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. X minus 3 and x minus 3 cancel, leaving me with plus 12. Negative 9 plus 9 is 0, so I'm left with 3x. And negative 12 plus 12 is 0, so I'm left with 4x. The x's here will reduce to 1, so we end up with 3/4. This problem we would multiply by x everything. So here the x's cancel, leaving me with a 2 minus 2x divided by 2. I can factor out a 2. So I would end up with 1 minus x divided by 2. The 2's will cancel, giving me 1 minus x, which is letter E. Number 2, 4x divided by 1 divided by x over y. I can write this as 4x divided by 1 over xy. Change division to multiplication, get the reciprocal. So we end up with 4x squared times y. Letter C. This one I can rewrite as division as well as multiplication. So a cubed divided by ab divided by b over 5b squared. So I'm going to have a cubed divided by ab times 5b squared divided by b. And notice here that My a cubed and my a, I can reduce that already. And my b squared and my b, I can reduce that already. But I'm just going to go ahead and multiply across. So I get a cubed times 5b squared divided by ab squared. So a cubed divided by a is a squared. The b squareds cancel, giving me 5. So my answer here is 5a squared. Skip problem number 44, so let me come back to work this one out. So here we can see that the common denominator, or not the common denominator, but the denominators are x minus 1 and x plus 4. So we're going to multiply everything by x minus 1 times x plus 4. So every single term by x minus 1, x plus 4. Okay, so if we simplify here, the x minus 1 will cancel with the x minus 1, leaving us with x plus 4 plus x times x minus 1, x plus 4, plus 3 times x minus 1 times x plus 4, all divided by x minus 1 times x plus 4 times x minus 3 times x minus 1, x plus 4. And then here the x plus 4 cancels with the x plus 4, leaving us with x minus 1. So notice that they're all being multiplied by this term here. So on the side over here, I'm going to multiply that out. And so here we would get x squared plus 4x minus x minus 4. So that comes out to x squared plus 3x minus 4. So I'm going to substitute this in here since we already multiplied it. So I get x plus 4 plus x times, instead of this, I'm going to write what the multiplication is, or the product, plus 3 times x squared plus 3x minus 4 divided by x squared plus 3x minus 4 times the x minus 3 times x squared minus plus 3x minus 4 plus x minus 1. Continue to simplify. So we get x plus 4 plus, distribute the x. So we get x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x, distribute the 3, plus 3x squared plus 9x minus 12 divided by x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x. I distribute the x minus 3x squared minus 9x plus 12 plus x minus 1. So we get x cubed, 3x squared plus 3x squared is 6x squared. X minus 4x is negative 3x plus 9x is 6x. And then 4 minus 12 is 8. In the denominator, we have x cubed, 3x squared minus 3x squared is 0. Negative 4x minus 9x is negative 13x plus x is 12x. And 12 minus 1 is 11. Okay, so this would be our answer.